Hello, my name is Dan Fleyshman. So today we're going to go over some intense, diverse crypto discussions. We're going to talk about everything from how to get started, what wallets you should use, what platforms you should use, what apps you should use, what does a wallet even mean, what does a platform even mean. So we're going to do some basic talk, medium talk, not too much high-level talk, because I really want to just get you guys understanding what to do and how to do it. My name is Dan Fleyshman. I was the youngest founder of a publicly traded company in history back when I was 23 years old. After that, I launched an energy drink, an online poker site. I angel invested into 27 different companies. And then I run a social media agency where I run campaigns for large brands. And so I work with a bunch of influencers and angel invest into different startup companies. So that's kind of the background. And then every month we throw a charity event or a live event for investors for free, just to get all of our investors into a room. And then for the charities, Model Citizen Fund has been around for 6 years. We make backpacks for the homeless with 150 emergency supply items inside each backpacks. You can check those out at modelcitizenfund.com. So what I want to do is start off right into what these things are on the screen. I made it here on the screen for you so you could always reference and go check it out later. So Coinbase.com is going to be your number one. Coinbase is the most important, it's the most useful, it's the most relevant one, because they have Silicon Valley funding behind them. They've raised a ton of funding. So they're the ones that have built up 13 million new wallets just this year. They have a phenomenal growth. They've hired 1,600% more employees just this year as well. So Coinbase is kind of like the big daddy of the wallets. It's the simplest in the sense that there's only 3 coins that are on it. You can only buy Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum on Coinbase.com. There's a mobile app version, and there's a laptop version that you can use, or sorry, desktop version that you can use. On Coinbase, you're just buying the top 3 coins. Why they're the top 3 is based on their valuation. So Bitcoin is by far the biggest, right? Bitcoin is the most universally known. It's been around the longest. It's approaching 8 years now. It's the most functional, and almost everything you do always has to be done through Bitcoin. What that means is, if you want to do transactions from one wallet to another wallet, or from one platform to another platform, you have to do that through Bitcoin. So if you want to go buy Ethereum, or you want to go buy Sia coin, or Storage, or Stratus, all these names you may have never even heard of, there's hundreds of coins now. Every transaction you do, you have to do that with Bitcoin. So to do that with Bitcoin, you have to start from a base. And your base all starts with Coinbase.com as your simplest way to onboard money. Okay? Coinbase also owns a company called GDAX, which isn't up here, but it's GDAX. GDAX is the fancy platform version of Coinbase, where it's kind of like Bittrex and Poloniex. GDAX is a really functional platform where you can trade coins. I prefer to buy my coins on Coinbase and then send it to Bittrex, Poloniex. There's also Bitfinance, as we said, GDAX. There's a lot of different platforms, but these are kind of your main ones, your stables. So with Coinbase, that's where all the magic happens, right? You have to get everything approved, meaning you have to tie in your driver's license, your passport, your bank accounts, your credit cards, sorry, not your credit, your debit cards. You need to plug in all these things to get you verified. The reason they need to get you verified is that's the only way they feel comfortable in these financial transactions. It's kind of like setting up a bank account, but a little bit more in depth, because you're now able to transfer money faster than Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, etc. What I mean by that is the banking system is still kind of in the Stone Ages. It's strange, but it's also evil, genius, smart. So the reason cryptocurrencies have grown so much this year, and it's going to exponentially grow the next few years, is that people are finally becoming aware and frustrated when, if I wanted to wire you $1,000, right, or $10,000, it will take me 1 to 5 days from today, so it's very rarely going to get to you the same day unless I do it before 1 p.m. It's going to cost me $35 on average to send you that wire. And so because of that, people are frustrated that for me to send you $1,000 or $10,000 type wire, it's going to take 1 to 5 days from now, sometimes longer if it's international. That's insanity. Where I could send you Bitcoin and it's going to get to you in 10 seconds or 5 minutes, depending on the amount. Most of the time it's going to get to you in about a minute. So it's going to get to you in a minute, and it's going to cost me a couple dollars, whether I send you $1,000, $10,000, or $10 million, the transaction fees are much, much less than your traditional like American Express, Visa, MasterCard type things. So cryptocurrency is not just a store of money. It's also kind of a esoteric, like deep thinking thing that it's a faster, better version for the entire banking system. It's a way for people to now have their money fast and furious in their phones that they could just send to each other. Or I could write it down. I could write down my Bitcoin code or my Ethereum code on a napkin and hand you $40 or $40 million, and it's just letters and numbers on a code. So from a thought process in a lot of foreign countries that are having frustrations with their governments, this empowers the people to be able to carry around money and have access to it at any time. So I got a little deep there, but cryptocurrency is much more than the store value. Some of these coins are making a better version of money, while others are making a better version of companies and products. So there's coins like Sia coin, which is only like half a penny or 1 penny, depending on what day you're watching this. Sia coin is essentially a better version of Dropbox, or a better version of AWS, which is Amazon Web Hosting. Imagine if somebody like Dropbox, who's a multi-billion-dollar company that stores your files, imagine if they were perfect and 1/8 of the price. That'd be an easy selling point, right? Well, that's what Sia coin is. And there's 3 competitors of Sia coin. So there's a lot of different things like that, different coins like that for each market that are doing it for the entertainment field, the gambling field, the medical field, etc., video games, where these smart contracts or perfect contracts, these smart contracts are a perfect version of what these big, huge companies like Amazon and Dropbox are doing. But they're instant, they're perfect, and they're verified by the people. So if I want to send you $1,000, well, John, Lucy, Larry, and Jennifer, they have to approve that transaction. That happens very quickly. They get a little piece for approving it, but now this transaction is stored, and for the rest of eternity, people know, they can't see our names, but people know that my address sent to your address $1,000. This part happens, the 4 people approving it, for example, is very, very fast and very, very cheap. If I sent you $1,000 from Chase Bank to your bank in Philadelphia, that transaction takes much longer, has a larger fee, and it can be stopped or held by the bank or the government. Cryptocurrency, on the other hand, there is no pass-through. There is no intermediary that can stop us. The banks can't stop us. The government can't stop us. You're still going to be taxed. I'm not saying like screw the man. I'm not saying get around the IRS. What I'm saying is you're removing the middleman that's making things slow on purpose. The reason that the big banks make it slow is that they're floating the money. What floating the money is, if I wired you $10,000 and they make 0.001%, let's call it on interest, that's not that much money. But when 25 million people in a week wire that kind of money and they make 0.001% across billions of dollars, well, 0.001% over $1 billion is $1 million or $2 million. And there's tens of millions of transactions happening, so you can do the math of why these banks are making tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars a week just holding on to our money. So have you ever tried to go to a bank and you deposit a check and they say, oh, it's going to be a 5 to 7 day business hold? Why? It's 2017, 2018 now. Like, why would anything take 5 to 7 days to be approved by humans at the bank? With this, John, Lucy, Jennifer, and Sally, they can approve it for me in seconds. So that's the kind of the esoteric thing behind cryptocurrency. So you're going to go to Coinbase.com. You want to download the mobile app. You want to make sure you get as much information on there as possible so that you're verified. Once you start doing transactions, they'll bump up your approval rating so you can do larger and larger ones. But what's important is your privacy. You do not want to tell everybody that you're using Coinbase. You don't want to tell everybody what your codes are. It's okay if they know your inbound code, But if people have any access to it, you don't want your friends having access, your sister, your wife, your brother. It's not that you don't trust them. They might make a mistake just playing around with it. So if your girlfriend's playing with your phone, don't have Coinbase as an active app. She may unintentionally be excited about something and do something wrong. Your mom, the kids, it doesn't matter who it is. It's not even about the trust factor, and obviously there's some people you don't trust. But it's really about the fact that this is complicated, and you don't want somebody interfacing with any of your wallets, so you just don't give anybody access. Make sure your email addresses are different. Make sure that you don't have the same passwords on anything, because if somebody hacks you, there's absolutely, positively nothing that anybody can do to get it back. If I send you $1,000 of Bitcoin, there is no way to reverse that transaction. If I go to a clothing store and buy $1,000 with Bitcoin, there's no way for me to reverse that transaction. If I do it with my Amex, I can just charge it back, right? So if you send somebody $1,000 of Bitcoin, make sure you send it to the right address and you do it perfect. You're mostly just going to be doing a copy and paste of the code, or you're going to be doing it of the QR code. When you copy and paste, just make sure the first letter and the last letter are the same and there's no spaces. Because if you see that 24, 28, or 32 letter type code, you want to make sure that you copy and pasted it correctly. Don't rush. Some people like copy and paste, go click, and all of a sudden they're going to send out the Bitcoin because they want to do it fast. Just make sure you do it properly. It takes you an extra 5 or 10 seconds to make sure that it's the right code that matches up. Because once you push send and confirm, that's it. It's off to Never Never Land. Bitcoin is gone. On the other side, that person's going to get a notification. The notification will come in a few seconds or a few minutes, depending on what time of the day or what's happening or what kind of wallet or platform that they're using. You're going to get verifications on both sides once it gets into their wallet. Once that happens, the transaction is complete. Okay? Coinbase sometimes takes longer because they've gotten 100,000 accounts a day now. On Thanksgiving, I think they got 300,000 new accounts in one day. So this is a big changing time for them. That's why they hired 1,600% more employees this year. And they took in over $100 million in venture capital because they are the premier for now. Listen, PayPal might do it. The big banks might do it. Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley, any of these big guys, a big financial institution, Amazon might do it. Facebook obviously should do it because they do so many payments. But realistically, Square has already announced that they're going to accept Bitcoin, which is going to help change the world. And why I say that is Square has over 2 million merchants using it. So now, if 2 million merchants plus, I can go in there and buy with Bitcoin and pay for a massage or a haircut or makeup or pressed juices, whatever that is that Square merchant is using, that changes on multiple sides because me as a customer, I can now spend using something like a BitPay card. I can now spend to buy a pressed juice or pay for a gym workout or wherever the Square reader is available. I can now spend it. On the other side of it, the retailer or the merchant or the barber or the makeup artist, whoever accepted the Bitcoin, now has Bitcoin. So having 2 million people have access to that, and plus, because Square keeps growing, that's going to flip the Bitcoin world on its head, because now one of the biggest helps is mass adoption, right? Once people can finally start using their Bitcoins, it becomes not just a store of value, but now it's a currency. Because normally, if I send you 10 grand of Bitcoin, you got to have somebody be able to buy it from you, or you don't have any way to spend it, right? There's just too few locations that can do it. With Square kind of leading the charge on being the first one to accept it, it's humongous. Once PayPal, Amazon, and some of these other big platforms start accepting it, then you'll see a huge change for Bitcoin adoption. The mass adoption is so important for us long term because people want to be able to go into Walmart, Target, Starbucks and be able to buy their coffee with it. That's not happening anytime soon. So Square is kind of helping fast forward that. They're kind of the guinea pig for all the big guys because Visa, MasterCard, Amex, all these guys will use it at some point. Same with all the big banks. There's a coin called Ripple, XRP, and they've already onboarded hundreds and hundreds of banks to be able to do wire transfers instantly and for much cheaper. That's why a lot of people like to invest in Ripple. But Ripple as an investment, I'm not able to give actual investment advice, but Ripple as investment, you have to look at the fact that they have 38 billion coins, and they're at around a 25 cent, 28 cent value right now. You have to expect them to be worth more than $100 billion for you to, if they get to over $2.50 a share, or $2.50 a coin. So you have to think about it like, do you believe Ripple at some point will be worth more than $100 billion? And that's kind of the gamble that you have to look at when investing in something, because as a company, you know that you like Ripple, the way I like Ripple, because they're out there doing things the right way. They got hundreds and hundreds of banks and governments involved in their coin to do wire transfers. So long term, that's a really good play because you're looking at it like a startup company that you're investing in. But then from a market cap perspective, if you think about them having 38 billion coins, well, they need to be, once they hit $1, they're worth $38 billion. $2, they're worth $76 billion, right? So you have to think about it in that sense of what do you think that company is going to be worth, not just think about it as a coin itself. And by them having 38 billion coins, that's a humongous number. I mean, that's hundreds of times more than Bitcoin itself. So while I'm going to jump around a little bit, but while you're investigating these things, you want to look at your investments as not just a cryptocurrency, not just as an altcoin, meaning an alternative coin to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also look at them as a true company. And the way I look at investing in the startup companies is I look at the founders, I look at what they're trying to build, and I look at what kind of money and advisory team that they have behind them. So the reason I like coins like Sia Coin, which is a very affordable coin being under a penny, I look at it as a long-term play. People in crypto are looking at all these day-to-day trades and how much it went up for the week. That's a different mentality of day trading. I'm a long-term investor. When I bought Ethereum when it was 19 bucks, now it's 450 bucks. I bought Bitcoin when it was under 1,000 bucks, now it's 11,000 bucks. And by the time you see this, it could be 12,000, 13, or 9, who knows? It can fluctuate every day. Most likely to be 12 or 13 by the time you see this. So when you're buying coins, look at them like an investment into a company. If you're looking at day trading, it's completely different. Day trading, you want to be set up on a bunch of different platforms: Bittrex, Poloniex, Bitfinex, Bitfinance, GDAX. You want to be set up on all these different platforms. You want to look at which price is the best, because some of them you can arbitrage. Some are going to have Bitcoin for 11,300, some will have it for 11,100, and you can buy on the spread. It's a very, very technical and advanced thing. You have to make sure you're getting the right commission charges and right transfers, and that's a very intense thing. If you're doing what I'm doing and what most people are doing, I buy and I hold. And if there's ever a big dip, I can buy more to cost average my price. If there's ever a big jump, I can sell some to remove some interest off the table. We'll talk about that during the investment portion of this training. So the next one is Bittrex. Bittrex and Poloniex I can talk about at the same time because they're both very similar. When you look at it, Bittrex.com and Poloniex.com, you don't use the mobile app. You're going to be on a desktop or a laptop. It's very important to really study these things before you start spending real money on there or start trading a bunch of coins on there, because it's very complicated. It's almost like sitting in a Wall Street stockbroker's desk, sitting in his chair and seeing a screen full of different numbers and fluctuations and green and red, prices going high or low. So Bittrex and Poloniex, of the 7 or 8 wallets and platforms that are out there, these are the two that are the easiest to use, but are still hard. They're just easier than the really hard ones. They're both well-funded. Their platforms continuously get better, but similar to Coinbase, they've just grown so much so fast, because just from this summer till now, the crypto market has went from under $100 billion market cap to now over $350 billion market cap. And again, it could be different by the time you guys see this. So the crypto market has just gone leaps and bounds in 1 year, or actually 6 or 7 months. It's just gone insane. So what you want to do when you see things like this, when you see moments like this in time, you want to study as much as you can, just like you're doing by watching this course, and you want to study each aspect of it, because if you do it right, you can have a large store of wealth, or if you do it right, you can just arbitrage situations and make money along the way. The This one is very fascinating because cryptocurrency, nobody's ever seen returns like this. It's never happened before. Nobody's ever seen, normally for a hedge fund, if a hedge fund manager promised a rich guy or girl 11% for the year, I mean, they would let them babysit their kids. I mean, that would be like, they'll send them all their money and they're like, oh my God, 11% for the year, that's amazing. If Bitcoin doesn't go up 11% in 10 days, people are like, It's like a normal weird thing in the cryptocurrency space that people are normal and expecting these huge 5%, 10% swings. So because of that, you want to understand the hype, but it doesn't mean you have to buy into the hype. You want to invest an amount that you can afford, which again, we'll go into the investment section later. But it's important for you to be aware of everything that you're doing and then start picking out amounts of things that you like, amounts of coins that you want to buy, and deciding for yourself whether you want to trade or hold. So the next one is BitPay. BitPay is like a debit card from Visa that you can use as a wallet to store your Bitcoins, but then you could spend it like normal money, which is great. So if you have, let's call it $4,000 on your BitPay card, you can now be at Starbucks at the gas station or buying a t-shirt, and when you swipe your card, it looks like a normal Visa, it says BitPay on it, and it transacts for you so that the store, all they see is Visa. They don't see Bitcoin. They just see normal US dollars. There's international versions and competitors to BitPay. BitPay is the one I like because, again, I like companies with a lot of funding behind them, some real advisors behind them, and a real team. The next one is called Bread. The Bread wallet is just a fast, easy way for you to store money on your phone. It has a 6-digit code that you just save in there. And it's just one of those wallets that you're not doing any trading there. All you do is you send your Bitcoin in, and it's somewhere you can just hold money and be able to have that Bitcoin really accessible to you. So if you ever want to send it to somebody, it's just a really fast, easy way. It's the same thing you can do with Coinbase and BitPay. Bread is just one of those ones that I like a lot because it's very, very cheap fees. It's really fast. It's a really pretty platform. They got funding behind them. It's just a functional way for you to store Bitcoin. You can always store your coins on a Trezor, which is like called cold storage, which is where you're holding it offline. But that's when you're going to be doing larger amounts. But if you have more than 5 or 10 grand, you want to start considering holding it in a cold storage. You can use somebody like a Trezor wallet, where you'll transfer your Bitcoins onto Trezor, and then keep that Trezor wallet stored somewhere really safely. Square is not somewhere where you hold Bitcoin yet, but they are starting testing with some of their 2 million plus retailers are accepting it. So Square is just something you want to be prepared for, that if your business does accept Square, it's somewhere useful for you. The Cash App is also just started testing as well. So Cash App is going to start allowing people to use Bitcoin. Again, that's somewhere that just like a PayPal type that you want to have using it, but it's not ready for you yet. I just want you guys to be aware of Square and Cash App are going to be accepting US dollars to Bitcoin. I mean, it's an easy way for people to be able to keep it on there. The last thing on here, before we go to the next video, is coinmarketcap.com. So CoinMarketCap is the best, fastest, easiest way for you to see in real time what the pricing is based on them. Each of these exchanges, they have different prices. So if Bitcoin is 11,000 here, it could be 11,200 here, and it could be 11,400 here. This is going to be the closest average of the main wallets and the main exchanges, the main platforms. So coinmarketcap.com, I check it every morning and every night, and sometimes in the middle of the day because it's fun. It's the most functional site. It'll show you each coin in order of market cap valuation. You can click on it, and it'll let you dive in to see what how much it went up or down in a day, how much it went up or down in a week, a month, or a year. Those graphs can kind of show you the evolution of what's happened with the coin. So you can do a bit of studying yourself. And then within the exchanges, you can do the same thing when you really deep dive into coins that you like. So during the investment part, we'll start talking about why you should invest in certain coins, what do you care about, and we'll go from there.